The coastal resort city of Sanya, located at the southern tip of Hainan Island, faced its most severe test of the year on the night of August 24 as Typhoon Kajiki, known in China as Jianyu, swept dangerously close to shore. Though the storm did not make a direct landfall, its outer circulation brushed past the city with maximum sustained winds reaching level 14, up to 45 meters per second. The impact was enough to shake tall buildings, topple trees, cause widespread power outages, and bring daily life to a sudden standstill. For residents living in high-rise apartments, the evening was one of tension and unease. Many described feeling their buildings swaying under the pressure of the wind. Windows rattled and balcony doors flexed against the gusts, with rain hammering against the glass so forcefully that some households taped their windows in an attempt to prevent them from shattering. Experts reassured the public that the vibrations were within the safety range of modern construction standards, but the psychological strain was undeniable. Outside, the violence of the storm was captured in dramatic footage shared on social media. The images showed howling winds snapping off tree branches and sending debris flying across street. Watch out! At Sanya's harbor, a docked boat was seen being heavily rocked back and forth as massive waves slammed into the pier, with water surging up and sliding over the concrete surface. The scenes underscored the raw power of Kajiki's winds and the danger faced by both residents and maritime operations. On the ground, the storm transformed Sanya's usually vibrant streets into scenes of destruction. Entire rows of trees, including the iconic coconut palms along the waterfront, were ripped from the soil. Some fell across main roads, crushing parked vehicles and blocking emergency route. Street lights flickered before going dark in several neighborhoods, and large advertising billboards were torn apart by the wind, scattering debris across intersections. Sanitation and emergency teams worked through the night in dangerous conditions to clear major arteries, allowing ambulances and repair vehicles to move. The disruptions to infrastructure were widespread. Power lines snapped in multiple districts, plunging thousands of households into darkness. The local power authority dispatched repair crews immediately after the storm's peak, but strong winds hampered efforts to restore electricity.
这个玻璃吹的都变形，你看整个都会动，看到没有？整个玻璃都在动。
By early morning, some areas had partial service, while others remained offline. Communication networks also experienced interruptions, though backup systems ensured that emergency services remained functional. The government response was swift and extensive. The Hainan provincial government had issued a Level 1 emergency response before the storm arrived. More than 20,000 residents from coastal villages, fishing communities, and low-lying neighborhoods were evacuated to schools, gymnasiums, and other shelters. Inside the shelters, families gathered on mats and makeshift bedding as volunteers distributed bottled water, instant noodles, and basic medical supplies. Elderly residents and young children received priority care, with doctors stationed on-site to provide assistance.
我家没屋顶了，我家屋顶飞走了。
Transportation across Sanya and the wider island came to a near halt. Sanya Phoenix International Airport suspended all flights from the morning of Sunday, leaving thousands of passengers stranded. Train services in and out of Hainan were also cancelled, while intercity buses and long-distance coaches were stopped for safety reasons.
你瞅瞅，都是903的窗户，瞅瞅，现在刮下来了。
Highways were closed in sections where flooding and debris posed hazard. On the coast, ferries and fishing vessels were ordered back to port, and more than 800 offshore workers were evacuated from platforms and projects in advance of the storm. Tourism, one of Hainan's economic lifelines, came to a standstill as beaches, scenic areas, and recreational facilities were closed until further notice. The storm also brought torrential rainfall, compounding the difficulties. Meteorological stations reported more than 250 millimeters of rain within 24 hours in parts of Sanya, with the heaviest downpours concentrated overnight. Water quickly pooled in underpasses and low-lying residential areas, creating localized flooding. City workers deployed water pumps to reduce rising levels, while sandbags were placed in front of vulnerable buildings and shops. The Water Conservancy Bureau stepped up inspections of embankments and drainage channels, concerned that prolonged rainfall could trigger flash floods or urban inundation. Despite these hardships, the city maintained an overall sense of order. Emergency hotlines remained active, dispatching fire crews, police, and medical personnel to urgent calls. Social media channels were filled with updates, including warnings, government notices, and personal accounts of the storm. By early morning, as Typhoon Kajiki began to drift westward toward the Vietnamese coast, conditions in Sanya gradually stabilized. Skies remained overcast, with intermittent heavy showers, but the worst of the winds had eased. Cleanup operations were already underway, with fallen trees being sawn apart and removed from road. Power crews worked non-stop to restore electricity to the remaining darkened districts, while health officials reminded citizens to remain vigilant for waterborne diseases following flooding.
就天塌了，那么大的浪，这根本不用钓鱼，鱼都上岸。
According to the China Meteorological Administration, Typhoon Kajiki will continue to weaken as it moves into the South China Sea, but southern parts of Hainan province are expected to face strong winds and heavy rain over the next 48 hours. Authorities urged residents not to let their guard down, warning that secondary disasters such as flash floods, landslides, and structural damage could still pose risk.
回不了家了，这个车子都卡在这里了，车子都扔在这里了，整条凤凰路都废掉了，真的是没办法了。现在走路回家，整条凤凰路都废掉了。
Although Kajiki ultimately spared Hainan a direct landfall, the storm's ferocity underscored the vulnerability of coastal cities to extreme weather events.
哎呀，我的车要报废了吗？